Do you know we recreate the universe every second? No, megasecond. It's all energy. So each moment is completely new. That's why it's so vital to live in the moment and not to bring the past in. All of nature sees everything afresh in the moment because it's true. We recreate this every millisecond. It's energy. You think it's fixed. There's nothing fixed. It's all transient. Everything's energy moving all the time. So we have the capacity to recreate in every moment what we want in our lives. That's why it's so vital to leave the past behind. The angst, the disillusionment, the resentments, the exes. It's very important to just let everything go with love and be here and open to a new possibility. So important. Because no one owes you anything. And you don't owe anyone anything. Life's a celebration, a recreation, an evolution, and you have to do that in every moment. And we've been taught to do the opposite. To look back, to regret, to feel guilt. And it's not about that. It's about evolution. I see, I change. I see, I change. I let go, I evolve. I love, I flow. It's like that. Follow your path. And don't think so much. Just let it take you. That's the excitement of life. Don't look for security externally. Hold it here and trust. Trust. Okay, let's go. Dali.
Question is, can you talk about perpetual consciousness? How can we see at some point if we are achieving?
You know, firstly, you have to let go of this word, achieve, because that's an external movement. And consciousness is an internal surrender. You know, people go looking for God. You have to let go and God comes. Why? Because it emerges from within you. So don't think in terms of achieving. Think in terms of surrender. Perpetual consciousness is just as the name says. You're experiencing peace and joy all the time. It's there. It's always there. It's not unity, but it's something very solid, something very permanent. It's like the anchor is deep in the ocean, and there might be movement on the surface, the human experience, the emotions, but it doesn't pull you out of your anchor. Like you're secure in that. And it's a choice. You know, you're at a point where you can be choosing to be there all the time because it's there all the time. And that's what's so important. You choose to be here. Choose to be here. And make that the most important thing. And in some moment you don't have to choose. It's just there. You know, you jump into your intellect, into your left brain, and it starts separating you. Because everything there is based in the future, in knowledge, in ideas. And if you come back, you create this unity. between the two hemispheres, between the creative, the feminine, and the logic, the masculine. And this is how we need to exist, in this perfect balance, not one extreme or the other, right in the middle, in this space of consciousness in action. And if you're in perpetual consciousness, it's a very easy experience because you start to flow. Because all the characteristics of the right brain are trust, creativity, flow, everything that's based in love. But we need this to function as well in this world. So we have to find the balance between the masculine and the feminine, the creative and the logic. We have to find the perfect balance, and that is the stabilization of consciousness. That's a real person. When we don't have that, we're like robots. We're just responding from programs. But when we have that, we're present and we choose our human experience. We choose who we're going to be, what our focus is, because we're conscious and we're present. You know, and this should be easy for you. But, you know, you have a very strong feminine part. But it also has drama. You have to cut the drama and just use your emotional part to just anchor and center all the time. And the consciousness is there. Or no? You've been wasting your time.
I want to ask you how to have a relationship with a person that is not focusing consciousness, that is not interest the system, not even talk about emotions, and to be able to give and not to get lost in the stress or wanting to change him.
You know, the only thing important is you, your experience. Why do you want to change him? You know, this is the stupidity of humanity. We pick someone and we're in love, which is just a projection, but then we want to fix them. You know, they're not broken. You can't, they're not like a house. You go in and redecorate. No, you pick someone and you have to love them unconditionally. So that's the challenge for you. That's the challenge. You have to love him if he's totally logical, if he has no emotions, if he has no interest in spirituality. If you choose to be with him, it's in your hands. But don't expect him to change. And see this need to change him. Yeah. Why are you with him? What is it you like? There's obviously something good. So enjoy that. But you don't have to get married and change him. You know, just be you. Enjoy your life. Enjoy him. But don't try to change him. Because the only person you can change is you. You know, I try to change people. And if I can't, you've got no hope.
And wanted to ask you how I can keep the middle path of being sensitive, but not going to seeing people as victims and all that.
You know, the thing is, when you're in consciousness, you just naturally open. You know, I don't see anyone as a victim. But I can also see human suffering. And I've dedicated my life, firstly, to finish my own suffering and to help people go beyond that. So if you're focused on consciousness and compassion, it's just natural that things touch you. It's just natural. It's not that you become indifferent to what's transpiring. But the only thing that can heal the world is the elevation of consciousness. We can do minimal things, and we do minimal things. But the basic fundamental root of lack is what creates all of this in the world. People have fear of lack, and they feel separate from each other. So the only way to relieve that or heal that is to elevate consciousness till we perceive ourselves as one. So everything becomes important. And for me, everything's important. People are important, the environment's important, animals are important, everything's important. But it's not a general projection. It's in the moment. If I see something in the moment, I am connected to that. It's not that I watch the television and I'm crying over everything that happens and going on marches and trying to change everything. I did all that. And I can see what happens. Not much. Me suffering and the world not changing. Me suffering and getting disillusioned. So you have to find that inside. And that doesn't mean you don't go out and make a difference. It doesn't mean that you don't help the environment. It doesn't mean you don't teach the educational system. It doesn't mean you don't give. But you don't suffer it. Because suffering doesn't help anyone. You just have two people suffering. And we have to show people how to stop suffering. And sometimes situations in this world are insurmountable. Insurmountable. There's no solution. And it's like that. And it's always like that. But that doesn't mean we look at it from a place of insensitivity. That's not human. Humans connect. They connect. And when they disconnect, they create atrocities. We create atrocities.
I want to ask you, as I was feeling that I started to let go of attachments, children, partners, and I have the sensation as if it's fear. I think it's fear. And I want to see if you can tell me something about, and how can I see when I let go of those attachments.
You know, we've been taught that love is control. It's mine. I own it. And that is what gives me love. And it should be the exact opposite. We should connect through love. Because attachment causes resentment. Why? Because it's full of fear. What if they don't love me? What if I lose them? What if something goes wrong? What if they don't need me? What if I go and they don't miss me? Then I'm losing love. So everything's trying to control the external love. And this is the sign that we have to give that love internally. You know, every time you see that movement, you have to come back. And you know, of course it's complicated. Why? Because we don't trust. We've always got this fear that we're going to lose something. So where does that come from? The profound belief that we're not good enough. Oh, what if I leave my husband for 6 months and he sees someone else? Oh, and then the kids like this person. What happens then? You know, like we create all the... You didn't think of that, did you? Well, now you can. But you know what I'm saying? The head has the worst scenarios. And we have to catch the scenario. We have to think. Imagine, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to have this huge consciousness. And as a consequence, all my family's going to expand consciousness. And I'm going to get rid of all these circles. And I'm going to have a much more loving relationship. And my children are going to grow without fear. You know, you have to focus on that. And when the fear comes, you just need to move it. Because it's not real. It's not real. But we always go there. Because of attachment. Attachment is not love. Love is not contractual. That's a prison. Love is intimacy. It's not ownership.
My experience and to touch the heart of others without trying to change them. But yes, I was saying like defending because I don't have anything to defend. These are my programs. But the idea will be, in my case, my husband, he doesn't even believe in this. He respects me coming, but doesn't share it, not even a tiny bit. How not to get hooked and wanting to defend myself, but sharing my experience, and if it's a possibility to touch his heart.
You know, you just share your experience without expectation. You share it for you. This is what happened, this is what I did. And no matter what he says, you just sustain that experience. You know, don't go home and say, oh, I'm feeling so much peace and love and da-da-da. And he says, oh, the sect. And you go, it's not a sect. Okay? If you do that, he wins. You just sit there and go, You just have to trust yourself. But stop trying to convince other people. Because that pushes them away. I never tell anyone anything. I just share my heart. Unless they're here, no? Unless they're my teachers or my students and they come for this, to grow. I don't even mention what I do. I just share my consciousness through talking. Obvious, someone asks me, I tell them. But it's not that I walk around advertising it.
I want to ask you if you can talk about omniscience and to continue the push of the heart without letting the mind intervene.
You know, omniscience comes from the heart. And it comes naturally. As you expand your consciousness and you start to experience truth, truth comes from within. It doesn't come from here. It comes from unity. It comes from present moment awareness. And it's very simple, it's very innocent, but it has an energy. It has a very pure energy because there's no projection. There's no personality, there's no ego, there's just truth. And the truth is universal. And it touches the hearts of everyone. Some people are like this because it's confronting. It's very confronting. But you don't have to think about it. It will just come from within you. If you're supporting someone, if you're talking to someone, it will just come from within you. And the realizations come from within you. The key is surrender. The key is surrender. I've got a story. So, God was becoming a bit of a rock star, no? And everyone was coming to see him, and because he came down to earth. And in the beginning it was okay, but then it started getting a bit exhausted. And he spoke to his best friend, I think it's the Holy Ghost or Moses or someone. Anyway, he said, he said, I love everyone, I love everything, but this is exhausting. Everyone's coming from everywhere to talk to me. I need a vacation. And Moses said, it's Moses, yeah. He said, I know. He said, go and hide on the top of the Himalayas. So he went up to the Himalayas. It was a little bit cold, but But he's God, so he just climate changed in a second. And he was fine for a little while, no? And then the helicopters started coming. And he thought, oh, no, this isn't working, And he looked at Moses, he said, well, where else can I go? He said, why don't you go to the depths of the ocean? And he said, okay, I try that. So he was down in the depths of the ocean. And then after like 100,000 years, then the submarines started to come, like those Disneyland tourist things. And he was like, this isn't working either. He said, where can I go so that I can enjoy just being by myself and work on creating, no? Because it's a big job. And Moses looked at him. He said, there's one place. He said, why don't you go to the moon? So he thought, oh, that's a good idea. The helicopters can't get up there. So he went up to the moon. And before you know it, NASA's launching spaceships. And then they've got television and everyone's watching. And it was like, this is just impossible. I can't fix it. And Moses is thinking. Oh, where can you go? He said, I've got a brilliant idea. He said, why don't you, inside of the humans, they'll never look there. It's true, no? That's where it is. It's inside us.
I had experience with my son died. I left my body. 8 years later, I touched that place of pain that it was there. And I was able to understand that I was not ready in the moment that he left to really connect all this pain. My question is, how can we push people without being violent for them to go through situations that are stressing or painful, dramatics in their lives? but allowing them to take their time, to be the moment for them, no? Because sometimes we push, and people, instead of opening, they shut down.
Well, you just plant the idea, but you don't insist. You know, you people need to understand something. If someone doesn't come to you for help, they're not open to receive it. It's like bashing your head against a wall. You know, everything has a timing. I can see clearly people's sadness, they're this, they're that, whatever's transpiring. And I plant the seed, but then I let go. And not everyone wants to open. So some people are so terrified of opening, they die like that. But you can't keep insisting, because that creates separation. And if you're insisting, it's for you. You want them to change. You want them to open. You want them to connect. But it's not your choice. You have to do what you have to do for you. And to try and push other people that don't want is violence. You know, I have people coming to me, oh, I want to get enlightened. You know, enlightenment is a hard master. It's a very black master. To destroy ignorance, it's strong. And I'm a strong teacher. And I can see very clearly up to what point people can go. And then I let go. Because if I continue, it's violent. It doesn't serve. It's no longer compassion. And it's the greatest mastery to be able to see that, to see the line that cannot be crossed. So you just plant the seed. Everyone's coming home. It's because it's who we are. Some people are flying. Some people are running. Some people are crawling. Some people are like rocks and they don't move. And that's okay too, because creation has many vibrations. And you have to see yourself, because someone with such a capacity for consciousness, you're constantly resisting. And for you it should be, but you resist. And you're an emotional person, you're a conscious person, your parents are conscious, you resist. So imagine, you've got all the benefits, you know, you have all the consciousness genes, and you resist. But not in this moment. Qué bueno.
My question is, if you believe, for me, collective consciousness, animal consciousness, is the maximum. Do you think that that's why the extraterrestrials are so intelligent, that they have the same consciousness that is the collective one, that is the one of animals? I understand.
You know, we're all one consciousness. But the thing about animals is they don't have judgment. They live in the present moment. They vibrate in love. They can be violent. They can be destructive. But they do it without judgment. Humans are very complex. We don't have the capacity to flow. You know, you can see a dog in the street and it can have a broken leg, but completely broken, and it will still keep going on 3 legs, wagging its tail. They don't suffer like humans suffer. They can suffer pain, but they don't suffer here. They don't have the abandonments, the fears, the past memories. Some instinctively, yes, but minimal, no? But they're all very connected. If you go to the jungle and something happens, like a lion kills a zebra, the whole jungle goes crazy. They feel everything, all of them. And then they let go again. And they come into the new moment. They don't have a plan. They don't send out emails saying, don't go to that watering hole. No, there's a lion. Okay, so they respond and react to the moment. And humans need to witness that. And they also look for the easiest path. You know, it's like in my movie, when I talk about my falcon, she goes with the currents. Even though she goes further to get to the food, she's flowing with the current. She doesn't fight against the current. And this is the innate wisdom of nature, animals, the universe. The only thing that goes against is us. Is us. But we also have the capacity to unify with the totality. So we have the potential, unlimited potential. That's the difference. Gracias.
Come visit our webpage for books, movies, and our wonderful retreat centers. Isha's simple yet powerful system is transforming lives around the world.